back. Today we are talking about our 6/9 chords. These are a really interesting sounding chord that kind of fly under the radar sometimes. These are major chords, major triads, so a root, a major third, and a fifth, with a major sixth, la, and a major 9. We can also think of that as a major second, re, stacked on top. So the arpeggio is going to sound like this. Do, mi, sol, la, re. I want to look at a few different voicings today just so we can get a few different ones into our fingers and we can get comfortable with shifting that around the neck. We'll look at one with the root on our low E string, another with the root on our A string, and maybe a couple with the root on our D string. So first of all, if I want to play this, if I play this at A, so this is going to be an A 6/9 chord. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my second finger and put that on the 5th fret of my low E, so that's going to be my root. I've got my first finger laying flat right here across the 4th fret. I've got my third finger, my ring finger, on the 5th fret of the B string, and then my pinky on the 5th fret of the high E, so that would just be my octave of my root. What that's going to give me is a root, a major third, a major 6, a major 9, a 5th, and then my root again. So with this voicing, if we want, we could either leave out that the root on my high E string up here and just have the root down here in the bass, or if we wanted to, inversely, we could leave out the low root here and just have the high one on top. That's a really nice sounding voicing for this chord. Another one that we can take a look at is with the root on our A string. All we're going to do is we're going to shift these two fingers up a string. So now, for example, this would be a D 6/9 chord. For this, I've got second finger on the 5th fret of my A string. First finger is laid flat again across the 4th fret. I've got my third finger, my ring finger, on the 5th fret of the B, and then my pinky on the 5th fret of the high E. This one's going to be a root, a major third, a major 6, a major 9, and then our 5th. So in this voicing, we don't have a doubling of our root. There's just this one do down here at the bottom. Let's look at a couple with the root on our D string now. Here's a cool voicing right here. For this one, I'm going to lay my first finger flat on the 5th fret, starting on the D string. So we're skipping our low E and our A string. So that's going to be our root here. And then I've got my third finger, my ring finger, on the 7th fret of the G string. So with this voicing, I'm just playing the D, G, B, and E strings. I've got root, 5th, major 6, and then my major 9 is up top, my major second, the 9. So in this one, we're leaving out the third. There's no major third in this voicing. If we want another voicing that does have the major third, but we play the root on the D string, we could use this one. This would be second finger on that same root, this 5th fret of the D string. First finger on the 4th fret of the G. And then I've got I can either lay this third finger flat across both the B and the E's on the 5th fret, or for me, I'd probably just use both my individual fingers here, my third finger and my 4th finger on the 5th fret of the B and the E. This one is going to be root, major third, major 6, and then our major 9, our 9. So there's no 5th in this one. We're leaving that out. I find they're going to give you very different sounds, right? If we don't have our major third, it's going to sound like that. If we don't have our 5th, it's going to sound like this. Generally, as just a basic rule of thumb, right? Whenever we're figuring out what notes to leave out of a particular chord voicing, we tend to leave out our 5th first, unless that 5th is altered in some way, right? Unless that 5th is raised to be an augmented 5th or lowered to be a diminished 5th. That tends to be the first note that we leave out of a chord just because our 5th isn't adding any tonality to the chord. But there's always going to be exceptions to that, and sometimes we would rather have the 5th and rather not have the major third. It just depends on the situation and the sound that you're going for. If you don't have the third in there, if we leave out the major third, it's going to make what I perceive as a very ambiguous sounding chord sound even more ambiguous, right? Not having the tonality of that third is going to really emphasize that sound of the chord. So I would say with this chord, like when we're learning all other chords, try to find different ways of inputting this chord into some songs that you know. This chord works really well as a substitution for a great many major chords, right? Any major chord, I would say, start by experimenting with throwing this chord in its place and see what you can find. For playing over top of this chord, we obviously have the arpeggio that we looked at earlier, but we also have just our major scale, right? All of the notes that are contained within this chord are contained within our major scale. So if we're playing an A6/9 chord, we can play an A major scale over top of that, and it's going to work, right? Same thing with our if we shift that anywhere. I hope that this video is helpful, and it was kind of a quick one today, but I think this is a very unique sounding chord, and it's just one that I wanted to show you guys. So stick around for the next video. I hope to see you there, and yeah, thank you very, very much for watching.